So, Future Boyt here, at the very start of the series, so it's a bit odd starting off with Future Boyt, even though both Boyts that you'll be seeing will be past Boyts, but yeah. So, I've done Berlin preparation. This is a little while after the tournament now. This is also after Bristol, so a reasonable amount of time after Berlin. So I've recorded my preparation. All was lovely. I had two different teams that I went through. I went through an X-ray team that I did some recording for. And then I had my actual Berlin team that I did some recording for. But, like the idiot I am, I left up Leonard's damage calculator thing. If you've seen my cans prep, and you'll see in the in this episode as well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the damage calculator of multiple attacks thing. I get that up on the screen so I can show you guys like what calculation I'm doing, and I do that after one of the matches in my X-ray prep, and it was very early on, like a few games in, and then for the rest of the recordings, which is something like 20 games, you are treated to this. He's gonna lose my net trick. Okay, he's not gonna lose my net trick. He will soon though. By soon I mean right now. And so all of the X-ray recordings are ruined. So I'm not going to include the X-ray stuff in this. Unfortunately, I will be just jumping straight into my Evolved Kyogre team that I ended up using for Berlin. So, bit annoying that I've lost all the X-ray stuff because X-ray was obviously the call and I should have gone with X-ray, but here is my Evolved. So, back for some more Berlin preparation. Pretty close to Berlin now. There's only a few days. I think it's what? No, it's 2 days until I travel to Berlin now. But yeah, I've you know how I said this team? I'm pretty sure it's going to be these 6 months. Yeah, I haven't got any of them now. Yeah, I'm using Veloga. So like I did like this team, or like the Ditto over the Gyarados. I tested some other things over the Ditto as well. But given the practice that I had before that I recorded, and future practice after that, the team seemed pretty average. There was something missing, and I don't have time to fix the something missing. So I'm going to be going with this team instead. I actually independently built this from, like, I think, was it O and M-Forbes and people like that used it in the Zelda Challenge. I actually built these 6 independently from them. It was like just around the time of the Zelda Challenge. But it was quite funny that I ended up with this. They ended up with pretty much the same thing. What do they have? Lele and Incineroar over Pheromosa and Raichu. But I was also building this as a counter team to one of my opponents because they were using, in the MPA that is, because they had been using Lunala Groudon every single week that they had been battling. So then the obvious choice there is Evolved Kyogre. I ended up facing Mewtwo Kyogre, and I managed to win that. But then when I started using this team more, it did feel super comfortable. Like with the X-ray team, it did feel like I needed to go for hard reads constantly, which I can do, and I got used to doing with the team. But with this team, it just felt like I was still able to have so much control, but didn't have to risk much at all, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's have a look at it now. Start off with the Mega Gengar. I did have Shadow Ball for a while over Substitute, especially because this was initially a counter team to Lunala Groudon. Having Shadow Ball, if I'm expecting a Lunala in one best of 3, makes sense. But now it's Substitutes. That came from a lot of testing. People seem to lead Xerneas and Moongus against this team quite a lot for some reason, when actually now I've got like a perfect counter lead to that. But the Substitute was really nice. I had Disable because I had Encore on this Raichu from the start. I also had Togekiss over Pheromosa on the in the MPA match, and that also had Encore. So I was going with the Encore Disable trap because they initially came from me thinking about whether Mega Gengar and Salazzle with Encore Disable was still usable, because I used that at the 2018 World Championships, and I was thinking like 2 poison types. Deals with Xerneas. Encore Disable is still really nice. Salazzle outspeeds Rayquaza, which is also really nice. And I started thinking about that, and then somehow ended up with Kyogre, Yveltal as the 2 restricted types, and then obviously using Raichu over Salazzle made sense with the Lightning Rod with Kyogre and Yveltal. I did have Togedemaru as well at one point. I did have a slightly different moveset on this. I had Helping Hand over Volt Tackle / Zing Zap when I had the Togedemaru, and it was just literal pure support. But I'll get back to the Raichu when I get to it. But yes, so sub disable, that gives you so much control. Like insane amounts of control. If you lead with Fake Out and just go for Fake Out sub, even if they break your sub, then you can disable what would break your sub. If you get the sub up, then you're in the driving seat, because you can just protect on what would break the sub again. You can disable sub disable is so much control. I have missed Shadow Ball a little bit while I've been testing without it, but the substitute has actually been amazing. The spread takes 2+2 Dazzling Gleams and also a Darkest Lariat from Incineroar, maybe. I mean, I have faith in my spreads, even when I forget what they do. But let's have a look. 172. From the 196 ones, or the 68+ ones, because no one should just go 252. Yeah, there we go. 2.7%, and then Incineroar, Darkest Lariat. Yeah, you don't even need the 12. It was initially, was it this, I think? And that gave me like 2% on the Xenius, and now it's 2.7, which is kind of negligible. But then if you have a look at the Darkest Lariat, the drop from 4 to 12, like, so that's a big drop for just 8 extra EVs. It keeps the HP number as not a multiple of 4, so that I can always get 4 substitutes, which is really nice. And the Sludge Bomb, 2 shots a Tapu Fini that's built to survive a +2 Moonblast? Or was that my Salazzle? I think that was my Salazzle. Yeah, oh, that easily does. But it also probably doesn't proc the berry. That's what I'm thinking of. Let's see. 18% chance to proc the berry, which is pretty good. I could go lower, I guess. How much lower can I go? That's a lot. 36 is 6.3%. So maybe I will consider going slightly lower, just so I definitely don't proc that berry and can always 2-shot the Finis. But we'll see. Like these EV spreads, I fiddle with them all the time, and they get changed very slightly all the time. Like even this change, like, it seems significant, and I just find these slight optimizations every now and then. But yeah, I really like this Gengar. The Kyogre, pretty standard. I don't like Origin Pulse. Pretty much got no. I only have one move that can miss on this team. It's very unreliable, but it's necessary. Pretty sure you can work out what it is, but yeah, I hate Origin Pulse. Scold getting around wide guards as well is really nice. I've been playing around with a bold Kyogre because Banded Ray was picking up and then came second at that regional. And if we have a look now at Banded Ray against this Kyogre, 204. I think it's like a 68% chance to Oko, which is, yeah, there we go. Not great. If they're jolly, then it's much less. So I definitely wanted this speed, though. I was initially 84 for a while, because that outspeeds Scarf Tapu Lele when you're either in the Tailwind, when I had Tailwind with Togekiss, or when they're at -2 from a Paralysis from Nuzzle. But then I realized that that's going to be such a common speed stat to hit, outspeeding Scarflelly in the Tailwind, so then I obviously want some speed creep. And speed creeping other Kyogres is, I wouldn't say super important, but just really nice, getting the Water Spout before they get the Water Spout. It was like the logic of Wolf's World's Kyogre, that was like 52 speed, because every Kyogre in 16 was either nothing, quiet, or super max speed, so yeah, he was creeping the small amount of investments, but I've gone for creeping the Lele ones, because now this like that is an actual significant speed stat. The next one would be Salamence at -1, but then I lose too much physical bulk that I would like. So I think, let's have a look. This looks Precipice Bladesy to me. No one's Adamant Max. Then +2. 37%. Maybe that's just then Johnny Max. Okay, 12%. That's reasonable. But the big thing, I definitely want Modest because of this. Get rid of Origin Pulse because no one likes Origin Pulse. Here. Yeah, 93% chance to OHKO with no extra investment, just Modest. And if you go for Bolds to try and live things, then look how much of a reduction that is. And if you want your Kyogre to be an Incineroar counter, you want it to be one-shotting it. Like, you can go for Water Spouts. How much HP? Actually, that's a good idea. Haven't actually looked at that. How much HP do you need that you can still one-shot a Incineroar? Because I'll be able to see my actual HP number, so if I remember it for the future. 74, 73. Okay, so 147. So that was 149, 148. Okay, 148 HP means that I'll always one-shot Incineroar. So yeah, now that's good knowledge to have in the future. But yeah, that's why I wanted Modest. I'd been considering Bold for the Banded Rayquaza, but you need like all the investment, even when you're Bold. See, look, even here, just changing that to Bold. That is not a guaranteed OHKO in the slightest. That's a 6%. I'm going to have to manually do this. There we go. So that's how much investment you need for the Dragon Ascent, the Banded Dragon Ascent, not to KO. And then that leaves you with this much speed, which is close, like 2 points away from the speed I would be okay with, even though I want some creep. But yeah, then you lose out on the Incineroar Skull Calc, and I definitely want that Incineroar Skull Calc. So I'm just going to get the rolls. It's fine. I don't have any Intimidate on my team because like the standard thing is Incineroar over Raichu, but I way prefer Raichu, and I seem to have something against Incineroar. Like whenever there's a team that's very standardly has Incineroar, I get rid of it for a better Fake Out user. But yeah, like I'm content with this Kyogre. I just wish it had a little bit more defense, but that's fine. Evoltal, Mixed Koko is best Koko. The one that won the regional just now, James Beck's one, I think, was Foul Play, Sucker Punch, Tailwind. But Foul Play and Dark Pulse both being able to be Z-moved is just the best. I don't know why my Mixed Koko didn't get picked up in 2018 when it was clearly meta breaking. Like, I am super adamant that Koko was meta breaking, and no one believed me. I think the reason it was disregarded was probably because Incineroar came out the week after I won that regional, and then people disregarded Wild Charge because, oh, there's another Intimidate user. But there's always Intimidate users, and you just switched, like, I guess in the final I was able to go for Fake Out Z Wild Charge into the Blaze Incineroar and just OHKO it through the Assault Vest, and I couldn't lead Koko and do that anymore. But why don't you just switch Koko in on the Incineroar and go for Z Wild Charge? Like, it was still fine. But anyway, not about this Koko. It's about this Evoltal, which is the same logic. Like, you get to hit both defenses with super powerful Z Foul Play and reasonably powerful Z Dark Pulse. It's only 160 base power, which is reasonably weak for a Z move, but it's strong enough. Let's have a look. The bulk lives this Lele, because now people should be smart, and I'm really hoping people are smart, because I'm using a certain Pokemon, that Scarf Tapu Lele does not need to be timid anymore, because the point of Timid Scarf Lele in Sun and Moon was to guarantee that you outspeed Scarf Kyogres, because some people like to go Timid Kyogres, but you don't need that anymore. Just go Modest. Please go Modest. But even then, this is a 6% chance. I did have this much bulk before, and that's guaranteed lived the Moonblast, but 6% is fine. Because then that let me get a little bit extra damage out. Let's see. This isn't like 100 minimum, but it's not jolly. It's hasty because I'm mixed. Z Dark Pulse. yeah, so like comfortable one shot on no bulk Groudons. And also, this is what it did. If I get my Gengar back up, which is why I'm hesitant about reducing the special attack, because I've already got this calc really nicely done. Groudon. Menacing Moonrays. Nope. Menacing Moonrays, Maelstroms surviving. Okay, I've got to get up this live editing stuff. Ignore that. That's left over from working out. So I was actually working out this recently, but that is from working out if Z Dark Pulse into Protect plus 2 Sludge Bombs plus Dark Pulse Okos this Groudon, and it does. So, but let's just get rid of these and. Gengar Sludge Bomb. So I don't have Shadow Ball anymore, so I needed this to be a guaranteed one shot, which it is. So, so yeah, that's really nice. Because one of the things I didn't mention, HP Water is very common on these Gengars over Disable. I guess Taunt as well is. James's was Taunt, wasn't it? So he had Sludge Bomb, HP Water, and Taunt. But my logic is the Disable means that I don't need HP Water, because I can just Protect / Sub on the Precipice Blades as I switch in the Kyogre, and then I can disable the Precipice Blades with my Kyogre in. Because if you're going for HP Water, you've switched in Kyogre and you have the Rain, so their Fire Punch is useless. And if you disable the Precipice Blades, then the Groudon is useless, and a useless slot is better than a dead slot. So, because I could just pick off that Groudon with a Water Spout and whenever I want with the Kyogre, but then that limits them to just pretty much having one slot, because if they're standard Precipice Blades Fire Punch filler, then the Groudon is completely useless if I've disabled them. So I don't think I need HP Water, and so yeah, so this calc I thought was quite important. Still got the thing up, don't I? I keep forgetting to get rid of this, but that's live editing for you. But yeah, that's what the special attack was for, and attack investment, Sucker Punch I think it was. What am I at, 52? Yeah, in case people just wanted to go max HP, like max speed, max HP Gengar, I know that Sucker Punch, if I need to Sucker Punch a Gengar, I know that it'll one shot. I know that Dark Pulse is guaranteed as well, so like both Dark moves, not Foul Play, but Sucker Punch or Dark Pulse can get even max HP Gengar. So I'm pretty happy with this Yveltal. I think it's reasonably optimized, so I'm pretty happy with it. You should go max speed, because the point of it is it's a Lunala counter, and you want to outspeed Lunala, and then you're 1 point away from max speed, so you might as well have that flinch chance on Xerneas. Like, you don't have the speed tie knockoff Power Herb interaction, but you've still got a 20% chance to flinch if you absolutely need to. And Sludge Bomb into Dark Pulse, I want to say get Xerneas. I am now second guessing myself, and I'm going to do this before I forget. Let's see, it's 252, and it's 108, I think, is what it needs to live. Dark Pulse. I'm not going to put up the calculator again. I'm just going to do it off camera, but just take my word for it, because then I know I'll forget to put it down again. Bulky Xerneas. 108. Because this is the +2 Moonblast surviving Xerneas. That is not looking good at all. 233. Oh, 0% chance to. Okay. Okay, so Z move and Sludge Bomb will get the Xerneas. Okay, that's good. That if I want to play it absolutely safe, then I should go for that. Okay, good. Moving on, Pheromosa. So this spread will look strange. Like, it looks strange to me, but this is enough speed to outspeed Modest, Scarf, Lele. Please be Modest, Scarf, Lele, because if you're timid, I'm screwed. But you don't need to be timid anymore. This can outspeed and one-shot Scarf, Tapu Lele, which is pretty common on the Wyoga teams, and like even just as a partner for Ultra Necrozma. And obviously, Scarf Tapu Lele is a big threat to Mega Gengar. So if I can just one-shot that Lele, one of the biggest threats to Gengar is off the field, and then I have all the control available to me with the Gengar. So that's the logic. Please don't be timid, Scarf. So Poison Jab is necessary. Ice Beam is super necessary. You want to outspeed and one-shot things like Salamence. You don't one-shot Rayquaza. You can if you switch in your... if they've already Mega Evolved and you switch in your Kyogre on them and then go for the Ice Beam. High Jump Kick is unfortunately necessary. Low Kick is not enough, because if we have a look at one of the most common things you will want to Fighting move, Incineroar. And then we'll have Low Kick. Life Orb. Because Incineroar is reasonably light. So, yeah. It's 80 base power. At neutral, it would get it. Probably. Unless they're Impish for Precipice Blaze and stuff. But, yeah, High Jump Kick guarantees gets it. Maybe not if they're Impish. I don't know how Impish you go for Precipice Blades, but I guess the properly Impish ones can live. But, yeah, Low Kick. While it's going to hit things like Stakataka and like the Primals for 120 base, that's slightly weaker than High Jump Kick to begin with, but also the variations in damage is quite big, so because not everything is going to be 120 base power, even though a lot of things will be. So I do think that High Jump Kick is necessary, like really unfortunately necessary, because 90% accuracy. Like people think that the recoil is the important part. Like I don't care about the recoil, because Pheromosa is dying to anything anyway. Like the 90% accuracy is the important part. I just wanted the 100% accuracy, and Low Kick is not enough. Oh, Brick Break. I just seen 100% accuracy Brick Break. Yeah, Jump Kick is 95, I think. So I could go for Jump Kick and just sacrifice 5% for 30 base power. That's not a worthwhile trade-off. But yeah, it needs to be High Jump Kick, and it annoyingly does. This last lot is what I'm torn about. There's so many things it could be. I think I came up with a list of like 10 moves. Like Pheromosa's move pool is actually amazing. I'll just scroll through and see if I can remember some of the key ones. Lunge with a Life Orb can OHKO Ultra Necrozma. U-turn is another, like U-turn is one of the main things I'm considering, because U-turn with Mega Gengar is obviously amazing. But Lunge with the Life Orb can OHKO. U-turn is a roll. It's not an ideal roll, and if people have any sort of bulk, they're gonna live. I don't know what the reasonable bulk is on Necrozma, but yeah, if Pheromosa could get away with being, say adamant, it would be naughty. Then the U-turn can get the no bulk ones, but because you need to outspeed the Scarflares, U-turn is a roll. It's not a roll that I would want to go for, but I think that on this team, like maybe if I didn't have Mega Gengar, I would consider Lunge more than U-turn. Lunge is especially good with Xerneas, because then people forget about the -1 attack, which is really good synergy with Xerneas' Geomancy. But yeah, U-turn and Lunge are being considered. Taunt, because you outspeed Crobats and can taunt them. Because I don't have Taunt on Mega Gengar either, Taunt is pretty good. Feint is really nice, just as a nice move. I don't think it's like if you're feinting, you probably want to be attacking with the Pheromosa, so Pheromosa shouldn't be the one feinting. So I don't know, probably not. Icy Wind would be lovely, especially with Kyogre, but then I would feel the need to go even faster and lose some bulk on Kyogre. So probably not. Quick Guard is super nice. I have Gengar that's immune to Fake Outs, apart from Kang and Lopunny, I guess. But yeah, Quick Guards unexpectedly could be really nice. But I don't know. Snatch for stealing Tailwinds, like mainly Tailwinds, and also Wide Guards on Kyogre's Water Spouts would be really good. And I think that's it. I feel like I had more. But yeah, Substitute is the one I'm considering the most at the moment. Because people can play very defensively against Pheromosa. Like, if you're against a Salamence, they really should protect on the Ice Beam or switch on the Ice Beam. And then getting a free Substitute up with Pheromosa makes you immune to the Intimidates so that you can stay strong. And also lets you get off the pretty much guaranteed attack, because you're so fast you should be moving before things. And because I have, like, such control with this team. Like, I should be able to get the substitute up reasonably easily. Say like I've Encore disabled things, I can substitute first and then take the KO, so that the Pheromosa is safe from the things that aren't Encore disabled. I feel like substitute could be a really nice move on Pheromosa. I don't think there's space for Protect at all, because I've shown like there's so many good moves that Pheromosa can have, and it is a support Pokemon. Like, it's obviously super offense and it's like no defense at all, but it is definitely a support Pokemon. It supports by getting rid of the threats to other Pokemon in one shot because it's so strong. But yeah, I still don't know at the moment. I think the most likely... Oh yeah, one of the moves I didn't mention was Hidden Power Water. With the Life Orb and the Rain, you can Oko the Menacing Moonrace Maelstrom surviving Primal Groudons with no special attack investment. So HP Water is being considered as well, but I don't know at the moment. I think it is probably between U-turn and substitute. Hey, Future Boyt here. I'm going to go over something that I neglected to mention in the initial recording of this, which I think some people would have thought was quite strange and I think does need explaining. That is the 29 IVs in HP, and then the small bit of bulk. So that's left over from the speed, so that's enough to outspeed Tapu Lele. And then like one more point also means that you'll outspeed Timid Geomancy Xerneas at +1, at +1 speed if you've got an Oko, but the defense investment is actually super significant. So here, this is just a regular Rayquaza's extreme speed against 4 HP Pheromosa, and because I'm Life Orb, if I go down to 90%, then extreme speed plus the Life Orb recoil has a 56% chance to Oko just a 4 HP Pheromosa. But here, big calc here is the Life Orb Poison Jab against Tapu Koko, and the roll is not changed by this slight amount, but it is when you go slightly lower. So so you can take it out of attack. 8 out of attack is like the Salazzle, just these tiny optimizations. Then this extreme speed with the Life Orb Recall, because you could go 1 point faster with Pheromosa for the Xerneas, but I think I have enough for Xerneas that I shouldn't be in the situation where I need to outspeed a Timid, and especially because they may not even be Timid if I'm in that situation. But yeah, if I just put into HP, 43% chance for the Life Orb Recoil and extreme speed to KO. If I start trying to optimize it, goes down to 33. And then that's 33 as well. And then that's 25. And then full instant defense is 18. But if I do this, I can't go any slower because I need to outspeed Tapu Lele. I can't go any less attack invested because I want the highest roll possible on Tapu Kokos. This would be the most optimal chance of Okoing, of not being KO to extreme speed and Life Orb Recall. But the big thing here is the HP stat. I've got high jump kick. I don't want an even number of HP, because if I whiff 2 high jump kicks, I want to still be alive. It's a very fringe scenario that I think has only ever come into play once for me, where I've whiffed 2 high jump kicks, but like you don't want even HP on your Pheromosa. So then the next option would be to reduce the defense by 1, because again, if attack and speed can't change, and then put the 4 back into the HPs. You see here, 25% chance to Oko. But then, if instead I reduce the IVs by 1 and go 28 defense, that gives me back the 18% chance for the extreme speed and Life Orb to Oko, and also gives me the odd number of HP. So that's what the defensive investment was for. I'd like 6% for 2 extra HP. That gives me 2 extra HP points of special bulk, but there is no special bulk. Pheromosa is going to die to anything anyway. So I think I prefer an extra 6% to a tiny bit of special bulk that will be insignificant in pretty much every scenario. So if like things like maybe a Kyogre Ice Beam can, yep, see Kyogre, like even Ice Beam will get you. Maybe not that one. Oh, okay. Now if it's just the modest one, and then I don't have 4 in there. I have it in. I would have it in special attack as well instead. But tiny chance to live. Much better chance to live. It's still saying guaranteed OHKO, but yeah, no, I think that the Rayquaza Extreme Speed plus Life Orb Recall is the most likely scenario, and reducing that percentage chance is surely the most optimal. But yeah, back to past Boyt. But yeah, the Raichu. This was Togedemaru. I think very initially it was Togedemaru, and then I think I switched to Raichu from Togedemaru because again, this was initially a counter team to a Lunala Groudon team, and they had a Kangaskhan. So obviously, outspeeding the Kangaskhan would be much more beneficial than underspeeding it for the fake out trait, and then having the guaranteed Encore onto the Kangaskhan as well. Also, Raichu guarantees outspeeds even timid Xerneas, which I don't think is going to be that common, although I think that Ken's was timid. But Togedemaru could underspeed and not be able to Encore the Geomancy after you've nuzzled them. Raichu definitely can. And because I've got the Focus Sash anyway, the defensive typing doesn't really matter with the Togedemaru, because I'm just going to go down to Sash anyway. But the tiny bit of bulk, you may think, again, like my Salazzle, it's weird having bulk on a Sash Pokemon. Gives me the tiniest bit of extra HP for recoil from Volt Tackle as well, and also here, if I go down to, is it 88%? Yeah, so from 4 HP, if you see here that a Mega Gengar Sludge Bomb has a 68% chance to OHKO you if they get the poison, but with this tiny bit of HP, it reduces by 18%, which is a big reduction. And not every Mega Gengar will be this investment. Say that they're my Mega Gengar spread, then they'll never get you with the Sludge Bomb, and they have the tiniest chance if you're just 4 HP. So maybe negligible, but I've had a look at some calcs as well. If you have a look at the bulky Kyogre, and Volt Tackle, Jolly. Volt Tackle here, like against the max defense ones, like the Salazzle, useless investment. So I'm sure there's going to be some things that the Volt Tackle will get weaker against, but I think I'm fine with this. I think I said I had initially had Helping Hand over Volt Tackle, but that was when I had Shadow Ball on Gengar, and that was so that Helping Hand Shadow Ball could OHKO Lunalas, and that was quite nice. And Helping Hand Darkinium Z was a nuke, which was really nice, but the team ended up, like, I've got Yveltal as a nuke, I've got Encore Disable Trap to deal with other Kyogres. I probably have the faster Kyogre for the Water Spout before they do, but yeah, I felt the need for something that could hit Kyogre really hard, and that is Volt Tackle. Like, I could have Thunderbolt, I could have Thunder because I have my own Kyogre, but Volt Tackle I think is the correct move, and people may think that Volt Tackle and Focus Sash has bad synergy, and I would disagree, because Volt Tackle, when you're down to your Sash, turns into a Final Gambit. So it would be like a Volt Switch, but you don't want to say you have the super fast Volt Switches like that, with my theory with the Kokos. Like, I don't like the super fast Volt Switch, because you Volt Switch, and then the Pokemon you switch into takes the damage. And you don't want your Kyogre taking unnecessary damage so that you can keep your Water Spout alive. But if you're down to your Sash with the Raichu, you can go for Volt Tackle, get off some reasonable damage, but then feint and get the I'm going to say, I like to say paid switch instead of free switch, when you sacrifice a Pokemon to get another switch in, because it's a paid switch, not a free switch. But a paid switch into your Kyogre, hopefully full HP, unless you've taken damage before, but if you haven't switched it in yet, but then it acts like a Final Gambit. So I think it makes sense. It also hits Yveltals pretty hard. Like, I don't have the best answers to Yveltal if I only have Nuzzle as the attacking move. But yeah, I think this moveset is definitely the best for this team. Helping Hand was nice, and Helping Hand with Pheromosa as well is also really good. But I feel like the team needed Volt Tackle, and there's always that 10% chance to paralyze if you need to do the damage and get the paralysis as well, rather than just nuzzle them. But it may look strange having Sash and Volt Tackle, but I think it makes sense. And then finally, Stakataka. It was initially Air Balloon, because again, this was a counter team to Lunala Groudon, so then being immune to Groudon's Precipice Blades. Made a lot more sense. I think Air Balloon is better than Shuckle Berry, mainly because if you've taken damage already, then the ground move's probably going to KO you regardless. So that does mean that things like Fake Out or Extreme Speed into ground move can OHKO a Stakataka, whereas a Shuckle Berry would let you live like that combination. But if you've taken any other like reasonable damage, say like a +2 Moonblast or whatever, then you were going to die anyway. So I was initially Air Balloon, but then when I was testing with this team, people just constantly led Xerneas and Amoonguss against me. And like when I had Shadow Ball over sub, it was a bit more awkward because I kind of had to like Fake Out and protect and hope they spawned the Gengar, and then if they did, I could go for Encore and Disable, which when they would Rage Powder with the Amoonguss, and then I could Encore Disable the Xerneas, and it would be an awkward turn 1 if they end up spawning the Raichu. But now that gives me such a free lead of Gengar and literally whatever I want, as long as it's not Stakataka. And like probably Gengar or Veltal would be the most common one because that would bait them the most to going for either Spore onto Gengar or Rage Powder from the Gengar. But yeah, I can just Mega Evolve, substitute completely freely against a Xerneas Amoonguss lead and switch into Stakataka immediately. And then they're trapped with Xerneas Amoonguss against a substituted Gengar that is now immune to Spore and a Safety Goggles Stakataka which is immune to Spore and Rage Powder. So then the Xerneas is gone, a Veltal is freed up, and then I'll win. That's the theory now. So the Safety Goggles makes the most sense. Like, I'm pretty sure Safety Goggles is pretty standard on Stakataka if you're not Shuckle Berry. But yeah, I don't think there's space for Rock Slide anymore on Stakataka. I think that it should only be Durable because with the going into Ultra, there's so many more things that you want Stakataka to do. Because like Rock Slide, Durable, Trick Room, Protect was pretty standard in Sun and Moon, but Wide Guard is just so good in Ultra. You should absolutely have Wide Guard, and yeah, Skill Swap with your Primals is really good. Like, I don't think Stakatakas need Skill Swap if they got Groudon at all. You can still justify it with Bronzong because you gave your Groudon Levitate, but Skill Swapping Beast Boost onto your Kyogre as you go for a Water Spout is lovely, and Skill Swap as they switch in Groudons as well. Is obviously really good. The spread takes a Tapu Koko Gigavolt. Yes? No? 244. Yeah, probably. And also the attack investment gets a Rayquaza that has Dragon Ascended. Here. Yeah, probably does, because if you see, it gets reduced, even by tiny amounts, so I think this is probably the most optimal Stakataka. I've had a look at Sassy stuff, because Xerneas can still pretty easily two-shot you with, if I go down to the good attack investment, like 97 there, and then it changes to 24%, which is obviously a huge reduction. Even more? No. Even more? Okay, 20. Yeah, it could be 20%, which is a huge reduction. But I want the one shot on -1 Rayquazas, especially because Banded will probably be common now, and they'll be Dragon Ascending a lot. So yeah, I've again rambled on a bit too much, I think, for this episode to start doing some matches, but I will do some matches. A little bit, maybe like it won't be many matches, but I'm gonna do just a few just to show off the team for a little bit. I'm pretty happy with this team. It was quite funny that I built this independently of the now standard Veltal Kyogre. But I think I way prefer this version. Like the substitute, the disable is the big part. The Encore disable sets it apart from the other team, I think, pretty well. So yeah. Watch me come up with another team, like, because I was pretty set on X-Ray, and now I'm going with the Veltal Kyogre. So watch me build another team in the next day and then go with that instead. But yeah, I'm going with this now. I need to commit to this. I've got no more time. I'm going with this. So yeah, I'll be doing some matches in the future episodes. Thanks for watching.